So everyone's been asking, everyone's been wondering what's the Justice8 case about. And it's actually a pretty simple, straightforward case that the government is actually attempting to overcomplicate for the sake of mystifying and deceiving the general public that their detectives were able to glean or ascertain. The case is simple, but the essence of the prosecution is sinister. And I took on this case specifically because I saw it as writing on the wall. If the government can get away with criminalizing these folks who happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, who were engaged in activism with no criminal intent in the first place, then it means that down the line in other states, in other jurisdictions, in other places in this country, other prosecutors, other cops, other judges will be able to do the same. And that to me is against the very core, the very spirit. So at the end of the day, this case is about a few young people engaging in First Amendment type activity. That is, that a few young people, folks who are now called the Justice8, were protesting in the name of street vendors, in the name of undocumented folks, in the name of victims of police brutality. And at some point or another, maybe one or two of them got caught up in an altercation that was ultimately the result of the provocation of somebody who was intent on riling folks up and getting a reaction out of them. With them, to go after the mayor of Fontana, for example. And to me, that, and I think this is the concrete reality and indisputable fact that, well, to me, the reality of it all is that that's meant to have a chilling effect down the line, whether the prosecutors realize it or not, on folks who are intent on engaging in group activism, in organized activism in the name of what you might call social justice, in the name of causes that lean toward the disenfranchised, the underprivileged, the undocumented, the helpless, etc. They're of this country and its constitution. So you might disagree with what Mr. Inamorado and the other folks in the Justice8 stand for, but at the end of the day, if you care about the idea of democracy, if you care about the idea of free speech, if you care about the US Constitution, then you'll care about the way in which the government is proceeding against these activists. So what's the way in which the government has been proceeding against the members of the Justice8? Well, point blank at the outset, the government is overcharging this case. The government has hit these individuals with some of the toughest crimes on the books. Second of all, the fact of the matter is that these individuals are in jail as we speak with no bail whatsoever. And let's assume for a moment, for the sake of argument, that they're guilty of all the accusations that the government has lodged against them. Why no bail? I know folks who are out on bail for murder, who are out on bail for all kinds of extremely heavy offenses. And yet, folks who, and let's assume for a moment, engaged in criminal threats, engaged in assault, let's assume for a moment that that's what they did, have no bail whatsoever. Third of all, I've noticed a trend on the part of the courts. And the fact is that the system has manifested itself against these folks in a very one-sided, arbitrary, authoritative, draconian type way. Now, that to me is fundamentally wrong. And my job is to put the system to the test that itself the system has put forward, and that is the test of due process, the test of a fair trial, the test of the right to bail, etc., etc. So I'm here to do everything I possibly can within the bounds of the law to ensure that that stuff is done in court. And ultimately, it's to the benefit of anyone who stands for justice and the betterment of this country and society as a whole.